Holt McCallany. You're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Face facts, what up, what up? Real fans, realtalk.com. Where Arthur Diamonds, Trip Young, and intern Tom. For the white and black fans, Asia to Manhattan. I get all my facts from my bro, Mark the Stats Man. If you're not tuned in, I recommend the CAT scan. And if your brain checks out, then you deserve a backhand. Sports, gossip, all the hot topics. Real fans, realtalk.com got it. They got the hottest bloggers. Is Jeremy Lin hurt? Well, log onto the site and you can hear it from them first. I'm talking about the latest. I'm talking about the greatest. Go check out the archives. Even tell a neighbor, tell him Bobby sent ya. From spring to winter, tuning in should be the only thing on your agenda. Certified cosign, you know what I'm about, son. Real fans, realtalk.com. I'm out, what? Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com.
Hello everyone, welcome to another live episode of Real Fans Real Talk. I'm Mark the Statman Skevich. We got another great show lined up for you tonight. Before we get into the sports topics, let me introduce my co-host. We got the one and only Trip Young.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, it's Trip Young. Even though you're looking at Rose, I'm still here on the other side. Here I go right there. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's a good week in sports because my wifey for lifey, baby boo, Serena won her 5th U.S. Open. She got $3.6 million in total. They gave it a little extra $1 million bonus. So we're thinking about taking a second honeymoon, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Of course, sitting across from me, Rose Claire. How you doing?
I'm so good, and here I am again, Trip Young and Rose Claire today, looking at this camera. Very happy to be back into the football season. Very happy for Monday Night Football. I predicted one of them. I predicted them both, actually, but was right on one of them, I should say. Not so good for the Giants, but I guess we'll get into that in a second, so here we go.
All right, well, there you have it. Like you said, not so good for the Giants. And for those of you that don't know, we do this segment on the show called Shot for Shot. And if you lose shot for shot on the show, the following week you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate. Also, the fact that the Giants lost to the Cowboys. Unfortunately, I lost last week, and I have to put this Dallas Cowgirls hat on. It's not going to be an enjoyable experience, so I think I'll delay it for as long as possible, and we might have to start shot for shot a little early this week, so that way I can take this thing off. But for those of you not to be confused, I wore my two-time Super Bowl MVP jersey, Eli Manning. So the fans out there, don't confuse me for a Dallas Cowgirls fan. So
yeah, you don't want to do that. Don't do that.
I can't believe Sean Fontaine's not here this week. His team actually won. All we ever do is make fun of the Cowboys. I feel so bad. I don't even mean to, and I accidentally call them the Cowgirls too. And then they actually win against the Giants, which is the first time they were able to do that.
He got suspended for PEDU, so he's suspended from the show for a week.
Yeah.
But he'll be back next week. But we had to give him a 1 week suspension because of the steroid scandal. So
as we said on the show one time, I think Botox is our
completely false,
performance.
by the way.
Botox is our performance-enhancing drug because we need to look good for the camera. So
There you go. All right.
anyway,
And, Eli Manning, despite the 450 yards that he had 3 interceptions. So what did you think about the Giants overall? I mean, the Cowgirls, like Rose Claire mentioned, they haven't been able to beat the Giants at home. It's the first time they did it. They won the first game of the season, but for those of you that don't remember, last year all the Cowgirls fans were making a big deal about beating the Giants the first game of the season, and as usual, when it counts, the Giants managed to beat them later in the season in their second meeting and managed to finish higher than them. They fell short of the playoffs, but overall, the first game of the season doesn't necessarily mean too much. So what's your take on the game, though, Trip?
well, you know what? First of all, I'm disagreeing with you on one point. It does mean something. Every game means something.
I didn't say it doesn't mean anything
in the regular season
as much.
But I'm not gonna give the Cowboys
Cowgirls
too much credit. Yes, they got the win. Let's clap it up for the Cowgirls. They got the win. They beat the Giants. But you know what? It was a very shaky win. The game could have gone either way. And, for the Cowboys to have forced 6 turnovers and to only win by 5 points, it says a lot about that Cowboys defense because, you got the good and the bad. And then, on top of that, Eli Manning still threw for over 450 yards and 4 touchdowns despite the 3 interceptions, and 2 of them were tip passes. One of them was, the backup running back, Scott, who's not used to playing with the first team, on that last play where he kind of turns and misses the catch because he's just not used to being in that situation. So, I'm not going to give too much credit to the Cowboys right now. I got to see them, in the next 3 to 4 weeks and see how they perform because I'm not sold on the Cowboys just yet.
Also, a large part of that game was the 2 fumbles from Wilson, who I'm not too confident in the Giants' running game, and they're actually looking. Rumor has it that they will be signing Brandon Jacobs, and I'm pretty excited about that. He has a kind of a up and down over the 7 years that he had with the Giants. He made the negative comments on Twitter, which gave him a 3-game suspension. Eventually, the 49ers he played for got an injury. But he did practice with them recently. The Giants are looking to sign him, so it's good to see a familiar face. I was always a fan of him. But Rose, what do you think of Jacobs coming to the Giants, and what did you think about the Giants-Cowboys matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Jacobs would be great for them. He was crucial in their 2 wins in the Super Bowl in the past few years, so I would love to have Brandon Jacobs back, as well as Willis McGahee they're looking at, too. And he had nothing wrong. I can't remember the exact numbers, but in the 10 games, he had huge, over 700 yards. 731 yards. How many touchdowns? Was
4 touchdowns.
Right. 4 touchdowns, 731 yards in those 10 games. So, and then he had a knee injury, which is what he had. He had a huge injury right when he was out of Miami back in, I think, 2004. But I've always been a fan of his.
2011, 735 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Well, thank you.
On 189 carries.
All right. So now that we got, thank you.
Statman does it again.
Who's got his computer in front of him?
Oh,
anyway,
well, I mean,
okay.
I was just looking at an article before the show, but continue.
Yeah. So Willis McGahee and Brandon Jacobs, shoot, I would take them both for sure if we could get them. I would love that. As far as this game, it is game 1, so I think it's a huge deal that the Giants lost because it sets the momentum for the rest of the season, basically. When you lose it, when you're 0-1, I feel like that kind of, gets everybody ready or not, because we spend all of preseason watching these terrible games that everyone's like, doesn't really matter. Like, should I take it as with a grain of salt? Should I really think it's important? And then you finally get into the real season, and now they lose against the Cowboys, who, as we already mentioned, ever since the new stadium, the Cowboys Stadium, the Giants were 4-0 in, and now they lost their first game ever in that stadium for the season opener. So I am a little bit worried about it. As far as the Cowboys go, Tony Romo always looks great in the beginning, so does it mean anything for the Cowboys? I hate to say it. I'm not going to not give credit where credit is due. I think the Cowboys always look good, though. It's just that they tend to choke like in the latter end of the season. So, yeah, the Cowboys look all right. I'm not going to get into the turnover thing because we actually have a shot-for-shot question about that later, so I won't go too into detail about that. But as far as the Giants go, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit worried. They did not look that good. David Wilson, as we already mentioned, had those 2 fumbles. He looked bad the whole game. And
well, he's actually going to be kicked off the team. He's going back to play college football again because the Giants have pushed him so far down on the depth chart.
College. Once you register, once you enroll for professional, you cannot go back to college. So unfortunately, David Wilson.
So it was stuck with him.
Yeah,
I just feel bad for the fantasy owners that picked David Wilson. I was actually going to pick him, but something told me not to pick him.
Well, you know what?
I'm kind of glad
the first game of last season, he had a similar horrible performance with a couple of fumbles, and then he didn't get any playing time over the course of like the next 4 or 5 games. And then he showed what he could do on special teams and in the running game. Eli Manning is their leading rusher right now.
What I want to know is, where's Tiki Barber's running coach when you need him? Because somebody got to teach that boy how to hold on to the football.
Well, you know what? Yeah, it's true. And Tiki Barber had so many fumbles in the day. And Tom Coughlin was the one that kind of got him set straight with that. So, and you're right, Statman. I completely forgot about the beginning of last season. So, yeah, maybe he just had the beginning season nerves, and maybe he will come through. I wouldn't put it past them. So.
Well, one thing I'm a little relieved about, because the Cowgirls, they tried to come at the Giants for this whole faking injuries thing, which is actually the NFL actually ruled that they were not faking the injuries. So I just wanted to let the fans know out there, the Giants do not fake injuries. Well, this season anyway. They haven't faked any injuries.
At least not yet.
Yeah, not yet. They haven't done it just yet. So
Yeah.
But I am concerned about the running game. They definitely do need to pick up, Jacobs, McGahee, or add other pieces. Not just Wilson. I mean, I miss Ahmad Bradshaw, and we can't have Dirty Sanchez has the butt fumble. Bradshaw had the butt touchdown, the sit down touchdown in the Super Bowl. So I definitely miss his presence as well. But the Giants' backbone is Eli Manning, but he always had the running game to work with him. And we saw last year they didn't really have that strong of a running game, and they weren't able to make it into the playoffs. Eli Manning, 450 yards. He's got to he's carrying the team by himself. The three interceptions didn't help, but like you said,
don't forget my main man Victor Cruz, a little salsa dancing,
he
3 touchdowns. Okay,
making his money worth it. He had
on my fantasy team, so I'm glad that Victor Cruz is on there.
Yeah, so he's definitely earning it.
He's earning his paycheck. And interesting stat as far as the Manning brothers were both number 1 and number 2 in passing yards in week 1. Peyton with 462, Eli Manning with 450, and they face off this Sunday, which is the first time in NFL history that any two, not just brothers, any two quarterbacks who threw for over 400 yards the week prior face off against each other. So what do you think of the Manning Bowl 2013, Rose?
Yeah, I'm not too excited. I'm not gonna lie. I love Peyton Manning, and I've always been talking about how great he is. So I wasn't too surprised with his great performance, actually. In fact, I don't want to get too into. I don't know if we're gonna talk about this a little bit more, but when they played the Ravens, when the Denver Broncos, when the Denver Broncos, played the Ravens last year in the playoffs, I thought for sure the Denver Broncos were going to win that game. It was just the Ray Lewis factor, and then we talked about this all on the show, that I think was the big factor, was that Ray Lewis was retiring. He kind of encouraged everybody to end up winning that game. But Peyton Manning, I feel like he keeps getting overlooked with his neck injury and then getting traded from the Colts, and everybody keeps forgetting that even though he's 37 years old, he's like playing his best football right now. So not
traded, but not re-signed.
Not re-signed to them. Okay, but my point is that I think that with the way that Eli came off, I do want to mention really quickly as well that Eli Manning drove for one final touchdown within the final minute of the game versus the Cowboys. So that was impressive.
Cowgirls, excuse me.
Okay, Cowboys, whatever. Let's be professional. No, whatever. He pulled it through. Eli is so good at that rally, but it was too little, too late. He needed more than a touchdown to win the game at that point. So
he did have a chance at the end when that last interception kind of sealed the deal. Because if they had scored on that drive, they would have taken the lead. It would have been up.
But he had a final touchdown on the final drive, didn't he?
No, he had a chance to come back, and that's when the tip passed off of Scott's hands, and then they ran it back. So he did actually have a chance.
You may have noticed
the
laptops on the set today. We are interactive this week. You can make sure you tweet us at Real Fan Talk for your Twitter questions. Our individual Twitter information and email addresses are on the realfansrealtalk.com website under the contact section of the page. You could also interact with us on Facebook, facebook.com/realfansrealtalk, and ask your sports questions. Or you could do like we've been doing and email us your fan mail questions, fanmail@realfansrealtalk.com. We are live at BronxNet Studios. We are live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BronxNet Television. If you're not a local Bronx resident, you could watch the live stream on our website, realfansrealtalk.com. Just go to RFRT Media, drop-down menu, RFRT TV, and you could check out the live stream as well as our archived episodes. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube now, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and you could check out the live stream every Tuesday at 5:30 and interact with us on Twitter and Facebook. We're going to go into one of the fan mail questions. Paul from Austin, Texas writes, should Clay Matthews have been punished for his hit on Colin Kaepernick? I mean, it looked a little rough there. A late hit out of bounds. Looked a little aggressive, and it is the quarterback. It is a late hit. Do you think he deserved the suspension? What do you think, Tripp?
No, I don't think he deserves a suspension. I just can't take it with this sissifying football like this, with all of this, all this. Why don't we just let the quarterbacks run down the field every play And you know what I mean? Like I can't take it anymore because football is it's a man's game. Like you gotta be able to take these hits, and they just making it easy on the quarterbacks. They can do whatever they want. I know it was late, but it was in it was in motion. And Clay Matthews is not someone who is constantly being called a dirty player or involved. If it was Namdeka Suh, then I might be like, yeah. But it's Clay Matthews. It happens from time to time. So I don't think he should be suspended.
What do you think, Rose?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe since it's a man's game, I just don't understand it.
I know I was going to get it from Rose on that one.
No, real quick. Hold on a minute. I do agree. These things happen, and yeah, you can't be suspending a player for an entire game. But I felt that there should have been some penalty. I don't know about a suspension, but at the same time, if you looked at the hit, it was it was at the neck. It was clearly after the play was called. I mean, I think that there should be some sort of ramifications for it. Maybe not a complete,
They do have the lingerie league, so it's not just a game.
Well, the NFL is a man's game.
Exactly. So, but
sorry, Rose. But if you want to put on the helmet and get on the field, you're more than welcome to.
All right.
But I don't know if you could take those.
You another dinner. Sorry.
take those hits.
This from the man who lives off of his tennis champion.
Whoa! I don't live off of Serena, okay? First of all, I pay the bills in our house, okay? Yes, the money comes from her bank account, but I actually pay the bills.
Yeah.
All right, just to clarify with the fans out there, I don't want you to think that Trip Young is getting a free ride in a fancy car, because that's not the case, all right? Because I work my butt off.
It's a Harley Davidson.
Exactly.
Yeah. You take the money from her Swiss bank account, and then you pay the bills like a real man.
Rose, all right, now you're just gonna lose too personal and my business with my wifey boo, okay?
We love you, Serena.
All right.
Anyway.
With that being said, my comment, as far as what you said, Trip, about sissifying football and the lawsuits.
Can we add that to the Rose Dictionary, by the way?
I was gonna ask. I was like,
well, she didn't say it.
Yeah.
Oh, she didn't. Okay, all right.
You feel free to add it.
Yeah, can we add it?
We'll give you the copyrights
Right.
if you want to use that word in the
I'm
Rose
gonna put the
Clare Dictionary.
definition as sissifying, something called in a man's game when you unman the game.
Well, there we go. There's one for the Rose Dictionary right there.
Unmanning the game.
Unmanning the game. Okay, Rose Dictionary.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a game, but in this case,
Yeah.
I mean, it's your dictionary. You can do.
Yeah.
You can put it out.
You make up the rules.
Exactly. But the way I feel, I'm going to write a blog about this as well. You can check out my previous blogs on realfansrealtalk.com. The concussions and the lawsuits against football and everything. Yes, it's a rough sport. I mean, those things happen. It's kind of like when people sued McDonald's for being fat. Like, you're going to be fat if you're eating McDonald's. You're going to get hurt if you play football. I'm sorry. I can't be compassionate for those things. Yes, injuries are a horrible thing, but you know what you're doing when you get into the game.
Right.
I don't want the game to be changed to flag football because people are getting hurt. If you're gonna stop the game, then that's one thing. I mean, when they invented helmets, people were getting their skulls cracked, and instead of getting rid of the game, they're like, no, let's not get rid of the game. Let's just get some helmets on. So I mean, if you want to play the game, and there's risks involved with it. That's why you get paid a boatload of money during your career. If you don't, if you're not managing it properly, and if you get hurt and everything, it's an unfortunate event. But we can't change the game for that reason.
I think even Colin Kaepernick himself said, "It's football. I expect to get hit." I think that was a direct quote from him. So I mean,
it's not something that happens every play.
But he should be suspended because that's my fantasy football quarterback, and you gotta leave him alone this season. He did a good job for me the other day too. So. But moving along, we're going to take one more fan mail question. Sticking to football, Craig from Los Angeles writes, do you guys think that Terrell Pryor will continue his strong play throughout the season? I think so. I like Terrell Pryor in college. He had his off the field issues, but at the same time, I think he's very talented, and he got the starting job for a reason, and he had a great first week, and I don't see him slowing down. What do you think, Trip?
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see deja vu from last year when Matt Flynn got beat out for the starting job, and we saw Russell Wilson have a great season. Now it's Terrell Pryor's turn. 112 rushing yards in that first game.
You feel bad for Flynn?
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a really good year for Terrell Pryor, and I'm happy. I'm glad that we can finally get past the Ohio State thing and move on. He has a chance to really show and prove what he can do. And, if those guys, if John McFadden can actually stay healthy, the team will definitely begin to improve. They're not a playoff team just yet, but maybe in the next 2 to 3 years they get a couple of more pieces in. We could see them back to the days of Rich Gannon.
What do you think, Rose?
Yep. Just off the top of my head, he rushed for 112 yards and then passed for. No, oh, yes, okay, sorry. Off the top of my head.
You had to double check that one, right?
Let's do this again. Off the top of my head, he rushed for 112 yards and he passed for 217 yards. He was very creative in the way he made his plays. And that was actually the most ever by a Raiders quarterback. So he looked good. I do feel bad for Matt Flynn, though. Like you said, it's deja vu with that. So, but yeah, I see him continue his strong play. I think he's doing well, and he'll continue to do well.
All right.
Shout out to Craig and Paul. LA, we getting fan mail questions all the way from LA. It must be the Beta Award.
We do have our internet radio show, which is from anywhere in the world on realfansrealtalk.com. We air live every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on realfansrealtalk.com. Couple of weeks off due to contract negotiations with our network, but we will be back this Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, realfansrealtalk.com, the Blog Talk Radio Network, and available archived on the iTunes Store. We're getting close to signing a deal, so we'll be back on the air. We should be back on the air this Sunday.
Trying to get that extra $1 million in there.
Yeah, I mean, the stat man's a little greedy. That's what it is, I guess. But we are superstars. We are the award-winning, critically acclaimed RealFansRealTalk.com. Real Fans Real Talk. Our TV show airs live on BronxNet Television every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not a Bronx resident, you can check out the live stream on RealFansRealTalk.com, RFRT Media, the drop-down menu, RFRT TV. Getting over to tennis, though, what did you and your wifey Boo do to celebrate, or the celebrations a little later on?
Well, I don't know if I could actually tell you everything that we did
celebrate. I know that,
but I just took Serena out to her favorite restaurant, and we went to Benihana, had a little Chinese, and we had a nice because we like, I told you guys, we like to keep it regular. We had a nice little moonlit walk on the beach. We just like to kind of unwind, bottle of wine at night once we got home. We watched the movie. We curled up and watched the movie. We got we have the 2-person Snuggie, which is actually the prototype right now. But
you don't get to spend too much time with each other.
Exactly. So we like to do normal things, and we just kind of just relaxed.
I mean, you're kind of used to her winning too. It's not like anything new, so it's not like you needed to go out and pop bottles and stuff like that.
What we do is, what we like to do sometimes is, how Scrooge McDuck used to, dive into the money bank and swim around. We do that, a little something
with trophies.
Yeah, but it's her fifth U.S. Open title. So she's definitely representing, for the United States very well. Her 17th overall. So Steffi Graf, Baby Boo is coming for you. She's coming to take your record. All right, so you be on the lookout for my wifey for lifey, Serena. She's coming, and she's actually won at this point 4 out of the last 6 Grand Slam tournaments, and she is the first person, which is I'm so proud of you, baby. The first female to reach the $50 million mark in earnings. So we're looking good right now. It's nice. Everybody's on. We just won an award for the show. Baby Boo just won the U.S. Open, so we kind of on a winning streak right now. So things is looking really good. Yeah. Shout out to Azarenka who came in second, but at least you got the extra $250,000.
In the words of the great Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. But I did pick Djokovic to win in kind of the same situation. If you ain't first, you're last. Nadal ends up moving to the third all time in the Grand Slam titles.
I actually picked Rafael Nadal. I know that.
You didn't do it on air.
It doesn't count. If you don't do it on air, it doesn't count.
The doorman where I live beforehand.
Well, can we get him on the phone? Can we get him on the phone right now?
I'll get him on next week. Actually. It's a true story.
Did he record it though?
I said I think Rafael Nadal is going to win. I said they're really neck and neck, but the thing is that Rafael Nadal, he's usually known for his red clay tournaments, like the Monte Carlo, the French Open, and that was usually his thing. but he was getting better. He started to really improve on the hard courts, and that's what the U.S. Open was. So I said that because they were neck and neck and Rafael Nadal had something to prove, I thought for sure he was going to win it this time, and then he did. So we'll get.
Well, I picked Djokovic before the tournament started, so it's a little, you know. It wasn't
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen,
I don't
we
do
know
that.
Rose does her picks after the fact, and
totally,
then
of
comes
course.
back.
But it's cool.
Reminder of Arthur there.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I do want to. I want to. Yeah, Rosadamas. I want to backtrack a little bit because a couple of months ago we had the discussion on the show, and we were talking about whether or not Rafael Nadal would pass Roger Federer, who is at 17 right now, and I said that he would, and he's now at 13. He's only 27 years old, so you know, even if let's just say he would just win the French Open these next 3 years, that'll put him at 16. He's still young. He still has a lot of tennis left. I need to know, do you guys still feel like he can't pass Federer?
I think he can because Federer will still, you know, I think Federer still got 1 or 2 left in him too. So, I mean,
well, he hasn't. He's been getting eliminated early in the last three, 4 tournaments. He's got
even your wife
bumped out.
Went through her slumps as well.
Well, she also won 4 out of the last 6. That's a different thing.
I mean,
But
she's
she's
hot.
gone through. Yeah, she's hot right now.
She's
But she,
hot.
like he said, she's gone through
in the
her
past,
slumps.
years ago, she went through a little slump. So after injuries and whatnot. So.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think that Roger Federer has been on the decline. I don't think this is a slump. I think he's just getting older, and I think Rafael Nadal does have enough in him to overcome it and surpass. Yeah, I do think.
So you're switching up from
what I said before.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I said before. I don't remember what I say like from.
Well,
day to day,
I was
except
alone
for-
saying that Nadal would pass Federer. So.
Oh, okay. So I must have said that. But well, I guess I changed my mind then. Who knows?
It happens.
I don't know
Rose.
what I say.
We understand, Rose. We understand sometimes.
Whatever's the right answer is the one that I've said last.
Yeah. Nadal also
That's
got
how it
3.6 million for
Rose is
winning
always
the US
right,
Open.
just like every other female.
I remember predicting that. That's so true. Thank you. I remember predicting that Denver
Smart man.
Broncos
There's
would.
no arguing with them. I learned.
I remember predicting that the Denver Broncos would beat the Ravens last year, which I was wrong about. But then I remember being like, oh, it's because of Ray Lewis retiring. Now that they traded Anquan Bolden, I was like, oh, for sure they're going to definitely lose to the Broncos this year. And anyway, so I remember certain things that I was wrong about, but usually when I'm wrong, it's because like it's a long-term rightness, you know.
When you're
it's
wrong,
like,
you're
it's
right because
usually-
you still could have been wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Because A, I'm a female, but B, it's because like it's a long-term rightness. It's like I might have been wrong.
A long-term rightness, is that in the Rose Dictionary?
Of course it
too?
is. Of course, it's under the L section, not the R section.
Okay.
But it's because like for a second, like I might be wrong for a game, but it's because in the long term, there's a
It's
bigger
not the battle, it's
agenda.
the
There's
war
a
of being
bigger,
right.
Yeah, we were just adding on for the Rose
Long-term
Dictionary. I'm
right.
loving it, Rose.
All right, we
right,
should
so-
write it down because I have to actually print this thing out. I haven't gotten the rights to actually print it out yet. It's not what they
Well,
call
because it's not
legitimate.
complete, because you're
Yeah.
still adding new things to the Rose Dictionary.
Yeah.
So
For some
By the end of
reason,
the year,
it's not
it'll be
published.
ready for
But-
your Christmas stocking stuffers, ladies and gentlemen. So look out for the Rose Dictionary around
stay
Christmas.
tuned,
I have some work to do.
realfans.realtalk.com.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
with that being said,
Sped.
thank you for correcting me. See, anyway,
Let's
Bruno-
quickly get to that without being
Bruno
sped.
Mars
Okay, sorry.
is announced to be the entertainment for the Super Bowl halftime show.
I'll catch a grenade for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm cool with that. I like Bruno Mars. You know, he's got some good songs. I dig Bruno Mars' music. Is he going to be the only person performing though? Because I don't know if Bruno has enough for a 20-minute Super Bowl show just by himself.
Yeah, I mean, even when Madonna did it, you had LMFAO come out and stuff. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have a.
And Madonna has
but it's not
40 plus years,
Not
Yeah.
necessarily. Yeah, exactly.
so she could do it.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I like you were just saying, like I feel like it's usually Madonna, Tom Petty's another example, people that have been around for a really long time, so they have a lot of music to draw upon for this big old, or they would do like that year that they did like Aerosmith and Nelly and Britney Spears and like a zillion other people. I think Bruno Mars is very talented as far as music goes, but I think one album of his, so I don't know if it's going to be just like that one album and all the good, the bad, and the
Plus,
ugly
it's
will
going
be
to
on
be
there.
it's
or
going to
what.
be in New York for the first time ever. I mean,
Yeah.
can we get someone like Jay-Z wasn't performing at the VMAs and it was in Brooklyn. Can we get a New Yorker or even a New
Yeah.
Jersey guy like Bruce Springsteen or something to go
Well,
out.
it would be nice.
What
They
about
probably
is
they probably
Billy-
couldn't afford Jay-Z though.
Is Billy Joel from New Jersey or no?
I think it's.
Yeah, I'm not really a Billy Joel fan like that, so I couldn't tell you.
I feel like he's one of those, but
I think
that's
he's
another-
kind of before my time. I know you guys are a little
Piano
older,
Man.
so you probably
Oh yeah, I know. I was old when he was young, so I mean, yeah.
you were old when he was.
Yeah, meaning that I was.
That you're extremely old.
Yeah, that I'm extremely
The
old.
the
is what I'm
Botox has
saying,
done
yeah.
wonders for you, Rose.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotta
PEDs, yo.
say.
Benjamin Button, the female
Yep.
version.
Luckily, we don't get charged for those things for
Mm-hmm.
a big multi-million-dollar TV show that we have. Here.
Exactly. With that being said, we have. With that being sped, let's speed up to the next topic.
Let's go
we
to the
had
dictionary.
the Ring 10 charity event this past Sunday. It was a great event. I interviewed Harold Letterman again, who's always supportive of the charity. Those are for retired boxers that fall on hard times financially. I know a lot of people may say, they didn't manage their money right. I don't feel bad for them, or whatever the case may be. But certain cases like Iran Barkley, who always gave to charity, always gave back to the community through block parties and donated money to children. He was just overly generous, and Ring 10 is an organization that helped him out when he was homeless, and it's great to they entertained you, and it's a great cause. So glad to be a part of it again. For more information, if you want to donate, it's ring10ny.com. 100% of all donations go to helping those in need. So it's definitely a great charity. There's no administrative costs. The founder, Matt Farrago, they don't have an office or anything. They don't have to pay rent. They do their meetings once a month, and they get together and decide who needs what. And it was a great event. A lot of interesting former talented boxers, champions that we interviewed as well. Trip Rosa joined us this year, and
fun.
got to interview a few people. Some of the highlights was.
Peter Quillen,
Derry
who was
the
actually
Destroyer.
the current WBO middleweight boxing champion who won the belt at the Barclays Center. Big Brooklyn guy right there. Me and him kind of went back and forth about Brooklyn, so it was a good experience. Livingstone Bramble, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, John Duddy was there. Of course,
the Derry. I said Derry the Destroyer, but I meant the Derry Destroyer, John Duddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rose had fun with that
Smooth.
interview. So Rose, you had a fun time in a couple of your
Oh,
interviews.
geez, Louise, let's not get into that. He's referring to. They're trying to make me their cash cow because one of the boxers touched my leg, and they were like, "Oh, we can sue for something and get even more money for our show."
Obviously, we were joking
Ex-
off camera, but Rose likes to throw us under the bus.
You
like
were
we're-
just saying we
Yeah.
had fun, and yes, of course, I like to throw you under the
Yeah,
bus.
I said we have fun doing the
We gotta be
interviews.
careful what we say off camera
Yeah.
with Rose Claire. I don't know.
I'm like that 5-year-old that just repeats everything that people tell
Yeah,
me.
definitely. That's what happened. But we also got a chance to speak with Mike Bernard, who is the vice president of Ring 10, and he gave us some insight on, just how Ring 10 is planning on continuing, with the success, because this was their third, and they're right now they're getting ready for next year, because as soon as the charity event happens, the next day they go to work planning for next year, because that's their biggest event where they make the most money, and it was a packed house at the Marina Del Rey, just a beautiful event. And of course, Real Fans, Real Talk, we always show our support. We were there in the building covering everything.
One of the better interviews that you had, Trip, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. He has the movie out right now, The Good Son out there. Entrepreneur, has his own wine company. Very interesting, individual. And him and Livingstone Bramble, who had their history, shook hands at the event. We're going to have all this video for you coming up within the next week, so make sure you check in with us regularly on realfansrealtalk.com. Lot of interesting interviews, and we'll have that for you, especially since it's a big fight coming up this Saturday, so all those boxing fans out there will be in the boxing spirit as we have Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez battling it out. And Alvarez, very talented fighter. I just don't think he has what it takes to dethrone Mayweather. What do you think?
Yeah, not yet. he doesn't have the experience, and yes, I understand he's 42-0, but it's not the same. You know, getting into the ring with Floyd Mayweather is a completely different ball game. You know, that's going straight from college and trying to play in the Super Bowl. You know, I think in a couple of years, maybe, but right now, I don't think he's gonna be able to get in there. I think that Floyd is gonna frustrate him because he hasn't fought anybody with the defensive skill set that Floyd Mayweather has, and you have to be able to hit Floyd Mayweather. Yes, Alvarez is strong. Yes, he's fast, but there's a lot of guys who are strong and fast, and those guys don't hit Mayweather either. You know, and even when it looks like they're hitting him, they're really not hitting him because he's so fast. And Alvarez just hasn't seen anybody with close to Floyd Mayweather. And I don't think that he's ready. And I don't see him doing anything. I don't think he'll get knocked out, you know, which I think is the best thing for him. I think that he will go the distance with Floyd Mayweather, but I just think that Floyd Mayweather is going to frustrate him too much, and he's not going to be able to hang in.
Do you, Rose? Do you think Floyd Mayweather finishes his career undefeated? I'm assuming you're going to agree with what Tripp said. Like I pretty much, I don't want to repeat, you know, the same stuff.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, he's 40. You were saying, well, he's 42-0, but Mayweather's 44-0, and yeah, I don't think it's going to happen this time. But it's so hard to say, you know. I mean, like with.
Well, this is the thing. This is like I'm looking at this match as the final test to whether or not Floyd Mayweather is going to be undefeated for the remainder of his career, because I don't see him fighting anyone else this young who has that energy and that stamina. I think the next couple of fights are going to be guys that are in their 30s, most likely mid-30s.
But if you don't think he's going to do it this time,
no, I think he's going to do it this time. I'm saying, but this would be the last
right. Well,
test.
I meant if you think that if you don't think anyone can beat Mayweather this time, and
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a wrap.
Then it's a wrap.
I think
for
yeah,
you.
Yeah, pretty much that's it.
I'm just not sure because I don't know. I feel like there's always going to be this one young guy that's going to stun him, but
that's the thing. The one young guy would be Canelo, who we all just agreed that he wasn't going to do it, and I don't see him fighting. And there's nobody else except for Adrian Broner or maybe Andre Ward, but he's you know, in weight class he's I think 3 weight classes above Mayweather, so they're not going to fight. You know, so other than that, I mean, who else is Mayweather going to fight? Maybe Amir Khan, who I don't think can beat Mayweather.
I already said that, you know, years ago that Mayweather and Pacquiao would happen when they're in the old folks' home, and it's going to be the next thing close to it because, I mean, they're both getting up there in age, and I think it is going to happen sometime next year. Pacquiao's fighting again in November. So that fight might eventually happen, but nobody really cares about it anymore after the Marquez knocked out Pacquiao. So,
and you get kind of a younger version of Pacquiao with Canelo.
Yeah.
So that kind of really just overshadowed. And if they fight,
Anderson Silva, you know, is a very cocky individual in UFC, and we saw what happened with that. As cocky as Mayweather is, he doesn't play. He plays games, but he doesn't play.
He don't play those kind of games.
Yeah,
he doesn't do that.
He might taunt you and everything, but he's there to win. He's not playing around, and you know, he's very talented, phenomenal defensive fighter and offensive fighter. So he's the all-around total package as far as that.
Canelo, like I have a extreme amount of respect for Canelo Alvarez, because even after his last fight with Austin Trout, you know, I said that he was very Mayweather-esque, but he's just not there yet. And you can see, you know, some of Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez in that fight. You know, a little bit of Roy Jones as well, where once he was in control of the fight, you know, I said he was kind of styling on Austin Trout. But, you know, this is a completely different thing. And this is, you're talking about the best pound for pound.
So
Floyd Mayweather.
Since most likely you feel that he will retire undefeated, still got a few more fights under his contract. If he does retire undefeated, where do you rank him on all-time fighters in any weight class?
All-time, top 3, and I'm not putting him I'm not giving it any order, but you got to put it top 3. And I know some people are going to say, well, he didn't fight this person or he didn't fight that person or it just looked too easy and this and that. But, I don't agree with those things. 44 times thus far, men have stepped in the ring with Floyd Mayweather and tried to take him down. And 44 times, men have failed. And, just because he makes his opponents look very bad, it doesn't mean that they're actually that bad. It's just that he's actually that good. And you gotta give credit where credit is due. No one has been able to stop this man, and it's because he is the best pound for pound.
I think it is going to be a straight 50-0 when he retires, but at the same time, I'm going to have to retire this Cowgirls hat off of my head because I just can't take it anymore. It's about that time, ladies and gentlemen.
Before we jump into shot for shot, let me just say this.
As long as the hat's off my head.
That's fine. That's fine. I wanna actually Oscar De La Hoya, who is the CEO of Golden Boy Promotions, which is promoting the fight, will actually not be at the fight. He has just checked himself into rehab for substance abuse, and so he will not actually be attending the fight. So I just want to just say to Oscar De La Hoya, whatever you got to do to get yourself back on track, because substance abuse is no joke. So do what you have to do.
And the same thing with Tyson, as far as a couple of weeks ago announcing that all the best as far as that goes to those trying to recover.
And shout out to the money team, Floyd Mayweather shattering his own record with $41.5 million. That's the guaranteed purse. That's not even the pay-per-view money, which they're talking about is going to shatter the 2.44 million views that he got when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. Canelo's getting around 10 million. But, when you're getting 41.5, a little 10 million.
For those of you just joining us, we are live on BronxNet Television, Real Fans, Real Talk. We're about to get into this segment called Shot for Shot. The way it works, you have one judge, 2 contestants. We ask a series of 5 questions unless we go to overtime. If they both agree, no point is awarded. If they disagree, the judge will make a decision worth 1 point. If you lose shot for shot, you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate, which is why I was wearing that disgusting Dallas Cowgirls hat. And I know some of you tuning in that aren't familiar with the show is like, what is this guy wearing a Giants jersey with a Cowboys hat? What's wrong with him? But anyway, that's the explanation for it. And without further ado, we will get rolling with the first question.
Man, you are like wardrobe change, like Cowboys hat, Giants jersey, ref jersey.
Gotta do it.
Yeah.
All right, we will have the artist formerly known as the lovely Rose Claire, or the ravishing Rose Claire,
there we go.
Against the one and only Trip
like.
Young,
Synonym.
Battling it out with Mark the Statman Skevich.
Somebody got a thesaurus. I appreciate it.
In my head, I do.
It's
but
all about the synonyms. Okay.
There you go.
Now I'm ravishing. Next week I might be. What else could I be?
It could be a few things. I have the Statman thesaurus in my head, so we'll be fine. The Rose Claire Dictionary, the Statman thesaurus.
Right.
All right. First question. What was the bigger takeaway for the Cowgirls after their win over the Giants? The fact that they forced 6 turnovers, or that the game was as close as it was despite forcing 6 turnovers?
And we start
The
with...
challenger would be Rose.
I knew that. I was just waiting for you to say it. I think that I'm already foreseeing into what Trip Young is going to say, and I'm going to disagree with probably what he's going to say, because the score was Cowboys won 36-31, and they forced 6 turnovers, of course. I'm going to say that the bigger point is always that the Giants lost, not the fact that they lost closely. Like you already said, Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last, right? And it's all about the win. And the thing is that the Giants were
like
sloppy
little Southern
enough.
accent attempt there.
Was that not good enough? I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while. Anyway, so 6 turnovers were forced because of the Giants' own mistakes. Eli Manning threw 3 interceptions, and then there were 3 more turnovers in addition to that. So either way, the Giants were just sloppy. If they can clean that up, then they'll look a lot better. But the bottom line is the Cowboys were the ones that had the good enough defense to be able to cause those 6 turnovers. The bottom line is the fact that the Cowboys were able to win the game. And the bottom line, there are lots of bottom lines here, is that the Giants just couldn't pull the win, and now they have to start the season at 0-1. And I'm trying to take responsibility for my team because I don't want to jinx it and be like, oh, the Giants are going to be great, because we all know that when I predict something, the opposite happens.
Yeah,
so
please
hopefully,
don't pick that.
yeah, so hopefully, like, we can just take responsibility and move on for that. But the big thing is that, yeah, the Giants lost the game regardless of the situation.
And yes, you were right, Rose. We are going to disagree. First of all, I do take responsibility for the Giants. They lost that game. They played very sloppy, the fumbles, But at the same time, it's still just one game. Not gonna play the Giants every game, but the fact that you forced 6 turnovers and you only win by 5, and the Giants were actually in a position to still win the game if not for a tipped interception, which actually there was 2 tipped interceptions in that game. And again, they gave up 450, a little bit over 450 yards passing, 4 touchdowns in the air to Eli Manning. So yeah, it's good you got those 6 turnovers, but those tipped interceptions, then they don't happen every week. You have to go get that interception if you want it. They were just in a good place at that time. So I'm going to I got to disagree with you, Rose. I think it is the fact that the game was so close despite that, because you would think forcing 6 turnovers.
Right, but you could also say that you would think that throwing for 450 yards and 4 touchdowns should win the game. This is why they say defense wins the game, not offense, because even though Eli had a decent offense, the defense was what won the game. So you could say it the other way, too. You could say that despite their offense.
You could say that, but, all right, you have to think long term. Is every team that they're going to play be this sloppy and they're just gonna cakewalk through?
I'm giving the point to Trip Young because the Cowboys won the game technically, but in reality the Giants were the ones who lost that game. It wasn't the Cowboys winning it. The defense didn't play well. Between Wilson and those tipped interceptions, like you said, Trip, that's not going to happen every game. The Giants played very, very sloppy, and the Cowgirls can't rely on seeing that every single year. Tom Coughlin said that this was the worst half of football that he's seen his team play in history.
I hate to say it, but I just don't think the Giants are as good as we think they are. I think that we talked about this on the radio show last year when they lost out of the playoffs, and I said everyone was like dismayed that they bounced out of the playoffs early. But
they had an extremely tough schedule last year after the Super Bowl.
Are the Cowboys going to force 6 turnovers again this season?
Again?
Do you think that Cowboys defense?
It doesn't matter. They did what they had to do to win the game. It's not about the turnovers or not. They did what they had to do to win that particular game.
They gave up 450 yards still. The defense wasn't that great. They got lucky.
They did what they had to do to win that particular game. They needed 6 turnovers to win the game, and they did that. Whether or not they do 6 more turnovers to win their next game, I think that they'll still have a good regular season and then probably, no offense, but choke again, because that's what usually happens later on.
Hold on, but they're going to choke again. Why? Why would
no,
they
later
choke
on, because Tony Romo always chokes later on in the season. That's what happens.
But Tony Romo is not the only reason why they lose. It's the team as a whole, because the defense was giving up a lot of touchdowns last season again. So it is the defense is a big part of that.
But isn't Tony Romo known for choking at the end of the season?
He is known for choking, but he's not the only one, because the defense also
it's a collective
plays
team
poorly.
effort. But it's a collective team effort. But I see this
being... we'll see. Again, it's game 1, and we'll see whether the defense is real or not.
I don't want to be right about this. I don't want to be right,
weeks.
but I just think that we're giving the Giants too much credit.
It's not about giving the Giants credit. Yeah. It's about the fact that they played horrible is the reason why the Cowboys won.
They played horrible because they're not
Cowgirls,
good.
Excuse me. But moving along, which team made the biggest statement this week? San Francisco, Dallas, Denver, or the Saints? That would be you, Trip.
Yeah, San Francisco, Dallas. So it's definitely, you cancel the Cowgirls off the list. So they're out of there.
Sorry.
It's going to be a toss-up between the 49ers and the Broncos. I'm going to go with the 49ers. I just, and I think Kaepernick is a really good quarterback, but I think he is at another level this season, and the Packers, which is one of their biggest threats between the Packers and the Seahawks to get back to the Super Bowl, and he completely dominated. And the team as a whole, the defense there, when we spoke about this last week, Namdi is their third cornerback on the team. Anquan Bolden, I can't say enough. I'm still upset with the Ravens that they didn't, make it happen to keep him. But 208 yards, and they don't even have Michael Crabtree on the field yet.
Connect them pretty well.
I gotta say the 49ers.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something to argue that I don't think the 49ers, but I actually do think that Denver made the biggest statement because I don't think you can make a bigger statement than beating the defending Super Bowl champs. Yes, I know that there are people that have left the team or are injured. Obviously, Anquan Bolden left the team. Obviously, Jacoby Jones is injured, and Joe Flacco had nobody to pass to, which we kind of foresaw happening with the whole, Man, I'm like losing my point because I'm saying against it right now. We did see it happening though when he got so much money last year. But at the same time, this was the defending Super Bowl champ, Trip Young. You definitely thought the Ravens were still going to be super strong, regardless of everything, because that's your team.
Baltimore bias, but
yeah, it's the Baltimore.
Well,
You're right. It
you guys
is the bias.
have also been saying how bad the Ravens were going to be this season. So how could
it's true, but still, but with
Denver have
But with the Broncos, I mean, Peyton Manning, what a huge statement he made. Like 400. What was it? 462 yards was
7
it?
touchdowns. He tied
7
the
touchdowns.
record.
And 7 touchdowns.
7 touchdowns
NFL
and
all-time record.
There we go. The all-time. I was gonna say everything else. I just couldn't remember the exact number. 462 yards. But they had a great game. I mean, the whole team looked really strong, and they beat the defending champs. So I think that's even bigger than the 49ers. The 49ers are still going to have a really tough schedule and have a strong division, not just the Seahawks, to get through. So I think the biggest statement was definitely the Broncos.
I would have said out of all the choices, the Saints beating Atlanta, but as far as what Tripp said, the Packers defense has a lot of holes in it, and that's been the case last year too. So I didn't expect the 49ers to lose, and I didn't, I expected Colin Kaepernick to have a good game. I have Kaepernick and Russell Wilson on my fantasy. I put Kaepernick in. I knew he loves playing against. He destroyed Green Bay last time they played too, so I was kind of expecting that. 7 touchdowns from Peyton Manning. If I had to choose between the two of those, I gotta give the point to Rose on this one.
Yay.
Even though the Baltimore Ravens do have a lot of holes in their defense too.
Yeah.
But 7 touchdowns, no matter who you're playing, is impressive. Next question? Serena Williams, aka Trip Young's wifey boo, won her 17th Grand Slam title this weekend at the U.S. Open. Will she break Steffi Graf's record of 22?
Well, this is a little bit tough because I originally was thinking that she would, just because she's on a hot streak right now. As I'm saying this, I'm not even quite sure what I want to say because it's only 5 games. And yeah, like 5 Grand Slams seems like a lot, but there are so many played throughout the year that she could easily do that pretty soon. That being said, she's already 31 years old, and Steffi Graf was retired with her 22 Grand Slam wins by the time she was 30 years old. So, oh man. Okay, this is hard because I hate to be like, I'm not making fun of you, stat man, but they joke about stat guy being like, these are the numbers and this is the way it is because of the numbers. But statistically speaking, she's kind of past her prime at this point, but it's only 5. I already know what Trip Young's going to say, so I could agree with him and tie, or I could disagree and either lose or win. And I'm a little bit on the fence. So I think, okay, so 5, I think she can do it. I do think she can do it. I'm sorry. I guess I'm just yeah, she can do it.
I think
sure.
you should just lose the point for saying that Serena is past her prime when she won 4 out of the last 6 Grand Slams.
I didn't say. Did
You
I say
said
past
she was
her prime?
past her prime.
Oh, I didn't mean past her prime.
I said, you know, just
That
off
was
that alone.
You said you weren't making fun of the stat man, but I just want to clarify. I don't, I'm not just going by the numbers when it comes to sports.
No, that's
either.
what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
is
no,
that
I just wanted.
I was not talking about stat
Yeah, you
man,
were.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about
exactly.
me.
I just
can
wanted
do
to
that, yeah.
reiterate
No.
and reapply that statement so that everyone
No
out
way,
there
I'm sucking
knows.
up to you. I'm not trying to. No, I'm just kidding. No, really, like
job.
I can be like that. Where if I don't know an answer, if I'm like I don't know, then I'll just be like, oh, look at the numbers. The numbers tell all, and they don't. That's the thing, they don't. So that's why even though Serena is past not her prime, but past the age of Steffi
We
Graf.
got to move
Go
along,
ahead.
Trip Young.
Yeah, yes, wifey boo can do it. First, number 1 in the world. She's not slowing down. Again, just 4 out of the last 6 Grand Slams, and she's just gonna keep on going. It's not like we're seeing shaky performances or bad. She is dominating through this year. Yesterday she had a 126-mile-an-hour ace. She's not slowing down. Yes, I know she is getting older in tennis years, but she's hot, and we have situations in sports where these guys. I mean, we saw what Peyton Manning did after coming back off of 4 neck surgeries and tied the record for touchdowns in the season.
And he's 37.
So you have these special cases where certain athletes play into.
There's a rule on Real Fans Real Talk. You do not go against wifey boo Serena Williams, and both of them follow that rule. So.
That being sped, we have to sped up.
We have to speed up things, obviously. Good or bad move for the Miami Heat to bring back Michael Beasley. Who cares? It's the Heat.
You know what? I'm going to say yes. It is a good move because he is a really good player, and he would add a little bit of depth to the season. I know he has his off the court issues, but I think coming back to Miami, there's no pressure on him. He's not a guy who's injury prone. He can shoot the 3-pointer. He can get to the paint. Why not?
I was
And
waiting
you
for
get
the
him for
camera,
cheap
but I'll
on
just
top of
start
that.
going. Okay, so I'm going to say, because I'm such a stickler for the rules, you may know that if you watch this show, and I'm no fun Rose, I'm going to say it's a bad move because, for one thing, it's the Miami Heat. They already have the perfect roster. They won the championship 2 times in a row, and then on top of that, they got center Greg Oden, who they call him Mr. Glass. We've said on past shows. Statman said that before, but at the same time, we barely even need to use him because we already have a full roster. So why do we gotta put like a pot smoker? No offense to anybody who smokes pot, but it's like we just don't need that liability on this team. The team is fine without him. Yeah, he's a good player. Like I could say the numbers that show that he's a good player, but that just disproves my point. So I'm not going to go there. The point is that he's been busted twice for the same darn thing. He hasn't learned his lesson. I'd love to say he'll learn his lesson and then we'll move on. But he's done it twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So yeah, I'm gonna say bad move. He's already been busted twice for the same thing, and he'll do it again. So yeah.
Point goes to Rose. Yes. Will Peyton Manning, we're almost out on time. Will Peyton Manning break Tom Brady's single season? No, that's not the reason.
Thanks.
Will Peyton Manning break Tom Brady's single season touchdown record?
I would like to know the reason, though.
Okay, well, we'll get to that later because he likes me better. No, just kidding. Okay, will Peyton Manning break Tom Brady's single season record? I'm going to say yeah, because Peyton Manning's having a really great year. Yeah, he's a little bit older. He actually did hit 49. Tom Brady's record, by the way, is 50. Peyton Manning hit 49 before. It was in 04, getting the signal that I have to speed it up. But he's really hot right now. They're going to do well. I think that with Wes Welker, he's just going to connect a lot. And yeah, I'm going to say he can do it.
I'm going to disagree. I don't think that he's going to go. I mean, 7 touchdowns is an amazing game, but he's not going to be having 7 touchdowns every game this season. So I'm going to disagree.
We're running out on time. This is a tough one because, I mean, the fact that he had 7 puts him in a good position. He's obviously not going to get 7 every game, but I can see him getting a lot of them. Wes Welker is a great target for him. He finally has somewhat of a receiver this time in Denver, and last year he did good without having a guy like Wes Welker there, so I actually think he's going to do it. And to go back to the other question, it's basically confirming what Rose said as far as, having the extra negative publicity doesn't help a team. So to have somebody that, smoked pot twice and got caught is not something that the Miami Heat don't need that distraction.
I'm going to bring you a Mets jersey, just saying.
But I'm glad that they got him.
So should the Knicks get rid of J.R. Smith, because he's also a pot smoker and he got suspended 5 games?
That's another story. We'll talk about that next week. Real Fans, Real Talk. I'm Mark the Statman Skevich for Trip Young and Ravishing Rose Claire. I'm Mark the Statman Skevich, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
You know what I'm about, son. Real Fans, realtalk.com. I'm out, one. Real Fans, Real Talk. Real Fans, Real Talk. Real Fans, realtalk.com. Real Fans, realtalk.com. Real Fans, Real Talk. Real Fans, Real Talk. Real Fans, realtalk.com. Real Fans, realtalk.com.